Well, hi everyone. I just got back from a 2-week trip touring through the Carolinas and Georgia. And on the way home, I started thinking, there's probably a lot of things that need to be attended to at home once I get back. And so, as one does, I started a brain dump. Today, I want to show you my new visual brain dump organizer. So stay with me. Well, hi everyone. This is Crystal from A Crystal Clear Life, where we focus on planning, organizing, and living a more simplified life. And today I want to show you my new visual brain dump planner. So, being a teacher for many, many years, I learned that everyone learns and functions in different ways. Some people are very visual, they like to see things. Some people are auditory learners and they like to hear things. Some people are very structured and like a checklist, and some people just kind of meander around and get things done. Okay. So, what I wanted to do today is I wanted to show you a couple of different ways that I have done brain dumps in the past, and I wanted to also share with you the new visual brain dump page that I created for myself. And maybe it's something that you might like to use as well. Okay. All right, so without further ado, if that sounds interesting, please go ahead and hit the like button down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and with all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the computer. As you can see here, I created a brain dump page, and I put this graphic of a visual brain dump that I collected back on Valentine's Day, apparently, and I was scrolling through Pinterest as one does, and I happened to see this image for a brain dump page. So let me just scroll down and show you what it looks like. I'm sure if you've been on Pinterest, you've probably seen it too. So it has a place up here to circle the month and the day of the week and what day of the number day that it is. And then it has broken down into to do, call, email, text, new ideas, research, schedule, follow up, must do, could do, want to do, create, and random thoughts. Okay. So I thought, well, I kind of like the way this is kind of, segmented out. And as many of you know, if you followed me for any time, you know that I'm a big advocate of David Allen's book, Getting Things Done. And the one thing that David talks about is when you make lists or to-do list, that you add some context to them. So you have a list of all of the people that you need to call, so that if you're in a situation where you just have your phone and you want to be productive, you can look at your list of people to call and start making those phone calls. Or if you're doing stuff just at your computer, you have the list of all the things that you can do while you're just sitting at your computer. Okay. One of the ways that I do that is on my inbox page is I use my customized tags, which I've talked a lot about on this channel, but basically I have customized those tags to, talk to my husband, send an email to buy an errand, all those kinds of things. But some of you may not like the customized tags, or some of you may not really understand how the tags work, and that's not really what you want to do. You want a more visual approach, okay? So I decided to take this form here and use it as my inspiration to create my own visual brain dump. Let me show you that one. Okay, so here on the screen you see the top part of my new visual brain dump. I also have a link up here for my brain dump triggers, both personal and professional. And let me quickly show you that, because maybe you're somebody who likes that long checklist of things. So let's pop over and look at that one. So here you see I have my brain dump triggers. This column is all for things in someone's personal life, and you can see it's quite long. And then the middle section is one that I kind of grabbed a little bit of the personal and a little bit of the professional together to kind of make my customized trigger list, which would be right here in the middle. And again, you see it's quite long. And then over here I have professional. for business people, or, if you're running a business or something like that. Okay. Again, quite long. It can take quite a while to go through and think about all of these different areas of your life. Okay. So again, for visual reference, I wanted a quick and easy way to kind of come up with the most important things. Okay. All right, so there's a look at that list. And again, I have also done seasonal brain dumps. I actually did a video, which is a guided seasonal brain dump to help you think about all of the things that you might want to do as the seasons change from, winter into spring and summer, or fall changes in, late fall changes into winter. Okay. I'll also leave a link to that if you would like to check that out. I actually go through and give you prompts and give you time, to think about all the things that you might need to think about. And I'm using these lists to kind of help break some of that down. Okay. All right. So I just want to give you that information as well. But back to our visual one that I created. Okay. I decided to do a brain dump, and rather than have you choose, the date and the January and the 25 and all that stuff, I just left a space up here. So for example, today is the 28th of 2026. So I can just put the date up there, and I just added some stickers at the top to make it decorative. Okay. Do you have to do that? No. I just wanted it to be a little bit more decorative for myself. Okay. And you can see when you look from one of these to the other that, I kind of kept some ideas the same. So to-do list, email, call, and text. To-do list, call, email, and text. I kind of kept those things the same. Okay. Then I also made a section down here for mail, because when I travel, I stop my mail, and then I always have to go to the post office and pick it up. And while I'm there, I might as well mail that anniversary card that I need to do. Okay. I also have a list of errands here that I need to do, and things that I need to buy. When you've gone away from a trip, you always have those basic groceries that you need to buy. And in my case, I also need cat litter. Okay. Moving on down, I added some other things. The original one that we looked at said schedule, but I wanted not only to add it to my schedule, but I also want to review my calendar and, take a look at things that might be coming up, or things that I need to schedule, really detailed, like doctor's appointments, dentist appointments, that kind of thing. Then there are other things that I learned about while I was gone, like the symphony concerts, that I want to make sure I put into my calendar. We got to save the date for a wedding. And of course, we were talking about Oktoberfest coming up. So I want to make sure that I go ahead and add that as a placeholder to my calendar. Okay. Then, that is not on the original, graphic that I saw on Pinterest. I am a very project-based person. David Allen says that projects are things that take 2 or more steps to accomplish. I have a lot of projects going on in my life, so I wanted to be able to have a place to pick the top 3 projects that I'm working on in this week or this month, and have those next items ready for me. So project number 1 is working on the guest room. I'm going to paint that guest room, and I want to choose a new paint color. And then once I choose that paint color, I'm going to choose new bedding. Okay, so that's something for me to start thinking about. Project 2 is we have a yard sale coming up. I need to create the banner for that. I need to order that banner. I need to advertise and create the event on Facebook. So I can add that here on Facebook. And this is a project that, as a recurring project for church, this is our church yard sale, so it's a big community thing. And I need to start getting ready for that. Okay. The third project that I'm working on is a quilt that I took with me on the trip. I need to finish the binding. I think I have like one more side to do, and then finish adding the label to the top. I've sewn the label into the binding, but I need to just kind of whip stitch across the top of it. Okay. So those are my big 3 projects. Could you add more projects if you're working on more projects? Absolutely. Okay. Then I have down here another section called follow-up. And those are things that I need to remember to, I think David Allen calls them waiting on. I could change that to waiting on. But In some cases, following up means I have to do something as well. So I'm waiting for a reimbursement from dinner with friends. I have a loaned item that was a dress that I borrowed from a friend that I need to get cleaned and return. And I have lab results that came in while I was gone that I need to forward to my doctor. Okay. So those are just kind of things that I need to follow up on. All right. Then another area of life that I like to really focus in on is what do I need to do for my family or friends? My daughter's having a birthday soon, and I want to start thinking about if there's some overnight trip or, day trip or something like that that might be special for her. So I want to start thinking and planning about that. My husband and I are also celebrating our 38th wedding anniversary soon. And where would we like to go to dinner, or what would we like to have for dinner here at home? That's usually our choice, is to go right out here on the deck, have a nice dinner, nice evening, and let that be our celebration. Okay. In addition to my family and friends, I also have my pets to think about. My cat certainly missed me while I was gone, so I need to go through and do a thorough cleaning of the cat areas. Um, and just, take an inventory of what needs to be purchased for them and, all that kind of stuff. Okay. Then I also have some administrative things that I need to take care of here around the house. Pay the bills. The taxes were filed before we left, but they're still laying on my desk. I have to get those in the filing cabinet and put away properly. So those kind of administrative things. Okay. Then I added another row at the bottom that says create or hobbies. We discovered that our little bike mirrors that we use on our bike helmets are good for seeing what's happening on the right-hand side, but my husband would also like to see what's happening on the left-hand side of some of these trails that we've been riding on. So he would like a new bike mirror. So I added that to the hobby section so that he can take a look at which bike mirror he might want to get for his bike. Okay. And also it's coming into tennis season for him, and he needs to double check the balls that he uses. Does he have enough for the games that he has scheduled for upcoming? Okay. All right. So create and hobby is a good way, especially as the seasons are changing and we're moving into the next phase, the next season, to think about those things that might be hobbies for us. Okay. All right. I added something for new ideas because I am always coming up with new ideas. One of the things that I wanted to do is I wanted to have a progressive friends, craft, and game day. So you go from one friend's house and you might have, coffee and do a little craft, and then you go to another friend's house and you might have lunch and, finish up that craft, and then you move on and you play a game, and then you finally end up at another friend's house and you have dessert. Okay. I know back in the 70s and 80s, progressive dinners were the thing. Well, I want to do it kind of during the daytime and spread it out a little bit more. I think that will be kind of fun, and hopefully get to see everybody's gardens and stuff as well. Okay. All right. Then I added a research section because that's another thing that I'm always thinking about. I need a new dentist, so I put new dentist down there to research. And then there's a bike trail that I heard about down in Virginia that I want to research as well. Okay. Reminders. Like I said earlier, our 38th wedding anniversary is coming up. Quite a milestone for us. We've actually been together for 43 years. And so we're very excited about, the longevity of our relationship. Which reminds me that Mother's Day is coming up and Father's Day, all with, it seems like very quickly they all come upon us right here in May and June. The next row that I added was something that was on the original page. So they had a section called must do, could do, want to do. So I thought, well, okay, we'll add that and try that. So I added a must do, could do, and want to do section. I must plant my vegetable plants. They're almost ready to go in the ground, and it's still hovering some nights in the 30s. So I'm trying to give it a few more weeks or a few more days before I get those in there, but they must be done. And also the little pool that we have here in the backyard, I must check the chemical level in that from us being gone for a couple of weeks. I do not want it to warm up enough and the algae to start to grow, and then I take the cover off and it's solid green. That's no fun at all. So I need to make sure that that is a must-do item, okay? I could weed all the trees that have sprouted in the mulch while I was gone. I could clean the garage from some of the boxes that I brought home from the trip if I have time. And what do I want to do? I want to go down to the winery. They're having a craft fair kind of thing, and I want to go down and spend the afternoon down there. We'll see if I get these other things done, what happens, okay? And then I added this last little box down here that says wins. As you're thinking about all the things that you need to do in the future, it's also nice to think about all the things that you did accomplish. And so I just wrote in here that my husband and I, on this little 2-week trip, we rode 64 miles in 3 different states on our bikes, and we had a great time on all these beautiful trails. And the plants that I left here in my little tiny greenhouse survived the freeze, and everything is okay. So those are 2 wins that I'm very, very excited about. And then at the bottom, just to kind of cap things off at the bottom, I wanted to put down random thoughts because, as you're out sightseeing or learning new things or listening to audiobooks, I don't know about you, but I always have these random thoughts. So I wanted a place to be able to write those as well. Okay. Then I just went to my stickers and found some stickers that I thought were pretty that kind of tied in with this light green color. I pulled the light green color from the sample that we just looked at. And I thought, well, I can do the writing in purple, and I thought that looked pretty nice together. Okay. And again, these are some stickers from that same sticker set. And that sticker set is, because I know you guys are going to ask, this sticker set from Pretty Planner Place. It's called Positively Purple, and I think they're really pretty stickers. And so I'll leave those linked. I'm not sure if her Etsy shop is currently open or not, but I will leave those linked for you, okay? All right, now you might be saying, yeah, Crystal, that's great. I like the visual aspects of it. How did you make it? Well, quickly, let me tell you how I made it. I'm going to go down here to the bottom where I kind of have a plain one so that it's much easier for you to see the structure of, okay? And what I want to do is I'm going to highlight these 3 top sections. And what I like to do on some of my tables is I like to hide the borders. So right now I'm going to turn that off so that you can see. Actually, let me do it on these as well. So I'm going to bring all of these borders back so that you can see what the whole thing looks like. Okay, and this one, before I did wins, I did doodles. You get the idea, okay? So right now you see all of this is one big table that is 1, 2, 3, 4 columns by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rows. So 4 by 8, right? And then what I did is inside the cell, like right here, up here where it says brain dump, I'm going to do this just to show you how to create this. You can go into any cell in a table and you can go up to your insert menu, and from insert you can insert a table. And you can say, well, I only want it to be 1 column wide, but I want it to be, let's say 3. Okay, and then you'll see that it puts this little table inside the cell of the bigger table. I call that nesting the tables, okay? And then you can adjust the width of this to make it the full width if you would like to, okay? And then all I did at the top was I added some table shading, which you see right here. So you can drop this down to choose any of these colors that you might want. For this particular one, let's use that one, okay? So you can see how I shaded these all green. This one I've shaded purple just to show you as an example, okay? So that's how you nest tables. You just go into a cell, insert a new table inside that cell, and you're done, okay? So let's get rid of that. Let's cut that out. And now we're back to the one that I created. So you can see that I added tables in every single one of these. Now you might be asking, how did you get that to-do list to be so long? Well, in OneNote, you can actually merge 2 cells together, okay? So in this case, I merged these two cells, these two rows right here. And let's see if I can show you that. So table, split cells. I'm not sure if it'll do it because I have it nested. Let me erase some of these like that. And now if I do this, will it split those cells? Let me see. Yes. So now you see that it added that line back in there. So now I have a separate cell down here that I can add another one to, another table to if I wanted to. But if I want to get rid of that, I can highlight. I can do as many as I want, really, but I can highlight those cells and I can say merge cells. And now you see that it is one long cell. Okay, that's pretty cool, I think. Now, another thing that I could do is I could hide the borders like I did when you first saw it. So I can go anywhere in my big main table, and if I say hide borders here, it's going to take away all the lines from that big table that I have. Watch. Okay, now that's what it looks like. Okay, that's kind of interesting. Okay, let's put those back. And now, if I want to, I could go in here and I could say, well, let's get rid of the borders for these, okay? So then it looks more like, they're just, titles in a, in a table like that, okay? So it doesn't really matter. It's really personal preference as to what you want your table to look like, okay? I kind of like some of them having lines in them and some of them not having lines in them, but you get to decide if it's your table that you're creating how you want it to look. So you can see up here I kind of left things for the must do, could do, want to do, and the random thoughts. And then also up here for kind of those, these are things that I think really need to be taken care of too. The follow-up, the family, the pets, and the administration. Those are kind of important things. And then just my general to-do list, okay? So it doesn't really matter, how you want it to look. You can change the colors, you can change the stickers, you can change the text color, all of those things. But what I really wanted to be able to do is to say, okay, I'm thinking about things that I need to buy. Let me go ahead and put those here on the list, okay? Now you may be asking, well, Crystal, could you do your tags with that as well? Yes, I could go in here to my to buy column and I could highlight both of those things, cat litter and basic groceries, and I could go up to my home menu and look at all of my tags, which are right here, and I have a tag that says to buy, and I could click on that, and you see now that my tag, when I hover over it, says to buy, and then I have cat litter listed there. And basic groceries, and that's a to buy tag, okay? I have a customized tag for people to email. So again, I could highlight this one, I could go to my tags, send a card or email, I could click that one, and now that tag is there as well, okay? So I have many, many different ways that I could do a brain dump or keep track of things. I just sometimes think that a very visual thing that people can add to a list is really helpful, and I wanted to share that with you today. So let me know in the comments, what do you think about this visual brain dump? Does this look like something that you would use? It seems like it would be very easy to create, not only in OneNote, but if you were somebody who was a paper planner, you could do that in your paper planner as well. All right, well, thanks so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. And to all of my new viewers, welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope that you love OneNote as much as I do. Please think about subscribing if you haven't already. And until next time, here's hoping that you can live a more simplified and organized life through better planning. I use OneNote. Until next time, okay, bye.